What's going on, guys? It is Bernardo, and you just saw a quick unboxing on Lenovo's ThinkPad E14 Generation 2 laptop. So what comes inside the box? We have our safety and warranty guide. We have the ThinkPad E14 Gen 2 setup guide. Cool. We have our 65-watt power supply with a Type-C connection. And we have our power cable. Now I'm going to take the power cable and the power adapter and I'm going to hook it up. Awesome, cool. I'm going to put this stuff to the side. And then last but not least, we have the beautiful ThinkPad E14 Generation 2 laptop weighing around 3.4 pounds with a thickness of 0.72 inches. Now, using this laptop and reviewing it for you guys, I had a lot of fun, super powerful with the Windows 11 operating system installed on it. All right, so before we open this guy up and power it on, let's look at some of the ports and features. Now, if you have the laptop to the point that you're able to open it up like this, on your right-hand side, we have the following ports. We have one 2.0 USB port, and then we have our RJ45 port or Ethernet port. On the left-hand side, we have our combo audio jack, an HDMI port, a 3.2 USB always-on charging, and our Type-C port, which also allows us to hook up our power cable. All right, so we just went over some of the ports and features on the ThinkPad E14 Generation 2 laptop. So let's open this guy up real quick. Oh, look at that beautiful 14-inch display. And we will talk about the display pretty soon, so don't worry about that. Let's talk about the power button, which is located right here. And the power button is actually integrated with the fingerprint scanner. So it's a one-shot deal. So let's turn it on. Like I said before, the fingerprint scanner is integrated with the power button. So you don't really need to do anything. Just power it on and you're good to go. But if you guys want to see it in action, so let's lock it real quick. It's already locked. It's locked. I'm going to use the fingerprint scanner. I'm going to scan in. Boom. All right, so let's talk about the trackpad on the E14. Now, the trackpad measurement is around 3.98 inches. Using it, I didn't have any issues at all. I did find myself plugging in a USB mouse half the time. You do have the option to use a track points on the E14. So that's an option there, and then you can take advantage of the left and right click options at the top. For the keyboard on the E14, again, it is a ThinkPad keyboard. I usually don't have any issues with these keyboards. It's super responsive. I love the way it feels on my fingertips. So again, I didn't have any issues on the keyboard. Now the keyboard is backlit. That works well if you're working at night. The measurements between each key is around 0.13 inches. Now for speakers on the E14, they're actually located on the left and right hand side at the bottom of the laptop. If the laptop is on a hard surface, you get a pretty loud sound because the sound is actually bouncing off the hard surface. The loudness that I got on the speakers was around 92.3 decibels. Now for the display, like I said before, it is 14 inches full HD with a resolution of 1920 by 1080. It is anti-glare. For the brightness level right now, I think this is the highest on the brightness and this is the lowest. And again, this is the highest and this is the lowest that it could go. And again, this is the highest. If you want to know about nits, I think between 220 and 300. It all depends on the model that you get at the Lenovo site. The E14 does have HDR enabled within Windows 10, but only for streaming content online. Now, the refresh rate for this particular model is around 60.05 Hertz. Now, the scaling of the display by default, it comes around 150%. I found like the icons and the fonts were too big for me, so I had to reduce it around 125%. 125% for me was great. It's nice size and the icons are not huge, like popping out right in front of me. At the top of the display, you do have a 720 webcam with a privacy guard. Right next to the webcam, you have your dual mics system. All right, so the performance on the E14 was awesome. It was on point with the specifications that Lenovo sent me. So if I'm gonna actually do a command, I typically do right click on the taskbar. So I'm gonna hold the Control, Shift, and then Escape, and that's gonna bring up the task manager. Let's do more details, and let's open this guy up real quick. Let's do performance. I'm going to right click on the CPU, change graph to a logical processor. Awesome. So this machine is actually running an 11th Gen Intel Core i5 1135G7 CPU with a clock speed of 2.40 gigahertz. It has one socket, 4 cores, 8 logical processors. It's a good machine. Now for memory, it only has around 8 gigs. It does come with a solid state drive, which is around 256 gigs. And for the graphics card, it comes with the Intel Iris Xe graphics. Now with these specifications on the E14, I was able to do so much. I was able to do my editing within Premiere. I was able to edit audio within Audition, as well as render 4K within Media Encoder. And editing 4K files was really simple because I didn't need to create any proxy files. I was also able to do a little bit of coloring within DaVinci Resolve, which was a huge plus. Now, this guy does get hot around this area right here and around here. When I use my heat gun, I got a temperature around 94 degrees. So you gotta make sure, if you put it on your lap, it will get warm. Now this guy does have vents. It has vents at the bottom of the laptop as well as in between the display right here. Now for gaming on the ThinkPad E14, I was able to play Jump Force without any lag, which I was super impressed because of the graphics card. It's only running an Intel Iris Xe graphics card. But I was actually able to do some combos on this machine without any lag. All right, so let's look at the battery life on the ThinkPad E14 Gen 2 from Lenovo. So I'm gonna close out the task manager. And for every laptop, I like to use PC Mark 10 and run 3 performance tests. Now, the first one is all about the modern office battery life. And what it basically does is uses Excel, Word, PowerPoint, goes online, edits some photos until the battery reaches around 2% and it dies. The battery life on this test took around 7 hours and 20 minutes. On my second test, I ran video battery life and it took around 9 hours and 45 minutes. And my last test was all about gaming and it took around 2 hours and 41 minutes. Average without using PC Mark 10, I was using the machine with my editing with Premiere, doing some color correction with DaVinci Resolve, playing some games, going online, editing some Photoshop files. I was able to get between 6.5 to 7 hours of battery life on this machine, but it all depends on how you use it. All right, so let's conclude our unboxing / review on the Lenovo's ThinkPad E14 Generation 2 laptop. So the laptop, I didn't have a chance to hook up an external monitor, but you do have that HDMI port to just hook up an external monitor and you're good to go. Now for starting price on the E14 Generation 2, you could get it under $700, but it all depends on how you get it configured at the Lenovo site. It goes up to $1,000. I think that's like close to the highest price point on this machine. But again, like I said, it all depends on how you get it configured. Now, overall experience on this machine, I had a lot of fun, especially with Windows 11. I believe Windows 11 kind of enhances all the features on this particular laptop, which was a plus. Using it with Premiere, Audition, Photoshop, DaVinci Resolve, using Camtasia, going online, watching video, watching movies and stuff, listening to music. It was perfect. It's a great overall starting laptop if you need to, travel and do your day-to-day stuff on it. Now, one of the cool things about this laptop is it's not touchscreen, which again, like I said, throughout all my videos, I don't like touchscreen laptops, which the E14 isn't, which is great. One thing it does lack for me is it lacks an SD card slot. I would definitely love to see on this machine a SD card slot because, I could take my SD card slots out of my cameras, plug it in, hook it up to this laptop and start dragging and dropping the photos and my videos onto the machine so I could start editing. I actually got to get an SD card reader dongle, plug it in, and then that's the way I could retrieve my information. But that's the only thing that this machine kind of lacks because it does come with an Ethernet port I could hardwire in to get fast internet speeds, which is a plus. And that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed this unboxing / review on Lenovo's ThinkPad E14 Generation 2 laptop, and I catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.